بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. Alhamdulillah, ikhwan, with this the beginnings of this month of Ramadan, Shahrun Mubarak, the month of Sabr, the month of Sawm, the month wherein the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to increase in his ijtihad upon the righteous deeds and those actions that draw one closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In these few minutes, ikhwan, we remind each other of the fact that these are times, ayyuhal ikhwa, these periods, these mawasim, these periods of khair, these periods wherein Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has placed good for the believer. These are periods wherein the believer, he puts in extra effort. It is only a period of 30 days, ikhwan, but a period wherein the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the companions, those who followed them from the tabi'een and the atba'u tabi'een, they would utilize this period, ikhwan, and strive within it, knowing that these are from the mawasim that Allah has filled with good. And anyone who loses out on this period has lost out on much khair. Within it, there is a night, ayyuhal ikhwa, that is equal to 1,000 months, one night. A month, ikhwan, that has within it this khair. Sufidat shayateen. As Prophet ﷺ mentioned, the shayateen are sufidat, yani they are restrained and restricted. That is an indication of an increase in khair with them being restricted. Likewise, the believers, they fast throughout every day of this month. That is good for them, nurturing them upon khair and restricting themselves and disciplining themselves. And as Al-Imam Ibn Al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions in Zad the fact that in it is an extra benefit for the believer in considering that which his brother goes through from those who are less well-to-do and those who suffer outside of Ramadan, as we go through difficulty within it, being patient upon the siyam. And so the Prophet ﷺ, during this period, ikhwan, when this month would come upon him, and when he would see the hilal, as occurs in the hadith of Talha ibn Ubaidillah, that the Prophet ﷺ, he used to say, Allahumma ahillahu alayna bil amni wal iman wal salamati wal islam rabbuka wa rabbuna Allah. And in riwayat, rabbuna wa rabbuka Allah. The Prophet ﷺ, he used to say, oh Allah, when he would see and look at the new crescent, he would say, oh Allah, bring it upon us. Cause the month to come upon us with aman, with security, and with iman, and in a state of iman, and with salama, yani being protected and free and sound from harm, and Islam, and being in a state of Islam, Rabbuka Rabbuna Allah, or Rabbuna Rabbuka Allah, our Lord and your Lord Allah. And so here, ikhwan, the Prophet ﷺ would supplicate with a dua that had in it an indication of how he intended to see the rest of the month. He mentioned al-aman, with security, asking Allah Azza wa Jal to keep us sound within it, sound from that which is related to physical harm, and sound from misguidance and dalala. For indeed it becomes clear, as occurs in a different riwayah, that the Prophet ﷺ, he said in some of the versions of the dua, as occurs in some of the versions of the hadith, in Mujab al-Kabir of Imam al-Tabarani and elsewhere, that he would say, غَيْرُ الضَّالِينَ وَلَا مُضِلِّينَ, not being individuals who are astray or leading others astray. So part of that aman and that salama, that safety and security, was safety and security from misguidance. Prophet ﷺ would supplicate for that. Yani, that within the month of Ramadan, that we utilize the month, first and foremost having the prerequisites for benefiting from the month and being rewarded, yani the prerequisites of Iman and Islam, and likewise asking Allah Azza wa Jal to keep us safe within the month, to preserve us within the month, to protect us within this month, that we benefit from it greatly. And that had in it again the indication of the fact that the Messenger of Allah intended to see the month through upon khair and upon ibadah and upon salah. There occurs in a variant narration of the dua that the Prophet ﷺ, he used to say after saying, Yani, save us, make us secure upon Islam and Iman, that he would say, upon tawfiq, yani that we see the month upon tawfiq from Allah, upon success from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And him asking for tawfiq, lima tuhibbu wa tarda, and in some riwayat, lima nuhibbu wa tarda, in that, or give us success in that which you love and you're pleased with. All of those versions being authentic and authenticated by Sheikh Nasir in either Silsila and elsewhere. These versions of the hadith all indicate that the Prophet ﷺ intended to see the month of Ramadan upon tawfiq from Allah Azza wa Jal, lima tuhibbu wa tarda, carrying out that which you love and that which you're pleased with. For this month is a month, ikhwan, of amal, and that is tawfiq, that a person carries out action, not that he merely sees the month through and does the bare necessity, rather that he galvanizes himself, he prepares himself psychologically, mentally. He understands that this is a month that may never come back to him. It is only a period of 30 days. And if it were to be said to you that after Ramadan you shall die, how would we see this Ramadan, ikhwan? That this is your last 30 days in the dunya. After these 30 days you're going to die. If we knew that with certainty, would we just see it through, do the bare necessity, fulfill the fasting, wabas? Or would we strive our utmost upon this month and within this month? The Messenger ﷺ informed us, ikhwan, as occurs in the hadith of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, that indeed, لا تزول قدم ابن آدم يوم القيامة عند ربه حتى يسأل عن خمس, that the foot of Ibn Adam will not move until he is asked about 5 things. That his feet will remain in one position in front of his Lord until he is questioned about 5. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned عمره فيما أفناه وشبابه فيما أبلاه وماله فيما اكتسبه وفيما أنفقه وعلمه وما عمل به. Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned that the feet will not move until he's asked about 5. Number 1, his life and how he spent it. His youth, number 2, and how he dealt with it, how he spent his time as a youth, as a shab. And what is correct concerning the period of youth is that it ends at the age of 40. حتى إذا بلغ أشده وبلغ 40 سنة, until he reaches his prime, as Allah Azza wa Jal has mentioned, and he reaches the age of 40. And so those who have passed the age of 40, then ask yourself concerning what you will be questioned about. It is ended. There is no turning back. It is now an affair that is done. How did you spend it, Yakhi? That shabab, that era, that period that will not return. Later shababu ya'ud. That period that will not come back. How have you spent it? His wealth, how he acquired it, and how he spent it, and his knowledge and what he did with it. That is what is related to his standing Yawm al-Qiyamah. Then look how the Prophet ﷺ encouraged those who are alive now. Look how he encouraged them, as occurs in the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas. The Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned, as occurs in the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas, consider the 5 things that we'll be questioned about. In the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. He said, benefit, capitalize from 5 before 5. Number 1, Shababak. Shababak. Your youth. Qabla haramik. Before your elderly or before your old age. Secondly, the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned, وَصِحَّتَكَ قَبْلَ سَقَمِكَ, and your good health before you become ill. He said, وَغِنَاكَ قَبْلَ فَقْرِكَ. Your wealth before you become poor. The Messenger ﷺ in these 5, look and relate them to the 5 that you'll be questioned about. He said, وَفَرَاغَكَ, and your free time. قَبْلَ شُغْلِكَ, before you're busied. وَحَيَاتَكَ قَبْلَ مَوْتِكَ, and your life before your death. 5 things that the Prophet ﷺ encouraged you. Benefit from them. Capitalize now while they are still before you. Why? Yawm al-Qiyamah, you're going to be questioned about these things. And as it relates to the period that is before us, look at the 2 things, ikhwan, that are mentioned in both scenarios, in both hadith. Hadith of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and the hadith of Ibn Abbas. Hayatak wa shababik. Both of them you'll be questioned about. Your life generally and your youth specifically. Your life generally, from its beginning to its end, but in specific, the period of your youth. Allah Azza wa Jal, you're going to be asked specifically about that portion of your life. That is the time where you have energy. That is the time where you have zeal. That is the time where you're able to lay down foundations. That is the time where you're able to strive. فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ. This is the period where you have strength and energy and ability. Capitalize. Capitalize, ayyuhal ikhwa. Utilize this time well. Because Allah Azza wa Jal knows best if it is going to return back to us. This is the beginning of Ramadan. The first few days, ikhwan, we haven't even passed. Consider and be forward thinking now as it relates to the rest of the month. Plan the rest of the month in relation to your putting in energy and your striving and your establishing righteous actions. Be forward thinking in the rest of this month. It may never return. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى يوفقنا وإياكم لما يحبه ويرضاه وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد.